You can't tell I'm really, really, really... Okay, so this is another thing I wanted to talk about. This is the state of what feels like the discussion on the red team is right now. You have here the ring of winning. Yes, the ring of winning. And conservatives, cast it into the fire, destroy it. And the woke right is, no. Okay. And it really is the perfect meme about what is happening on the right now. Yeah, you can't see this, but it absolutely is the perfect meme for what's going on the right now. And the discussion that I keep having with people on Twitter and just in general is, wins too far. Wins too far. Wins too far. Because no one has yet to articulate where and how we know how to draw the line. Because, as I've pointed out, I don't know how many motherfucking times. Right? Right? And this is why people like Razor Fist are like, oh, we didn't have a civil war. We had a war of northern conquest. Or excuse me, a war of southern conquest and forced unification. And there is more truth to that than most people would like to admit. There really is. There really is. So could you imagine the Republican president doing what he did? Right? Seriously. Oh, you're going to talk about seceding from the Union, are you? Yeah, we're gonna have to have a nice talk about that. Democrats running away from the Union again? Oh man. Whew. The memes feel like they write themselves sometimes. But this is not just as simple as the ring of winning. It's not really what it's about. It's about the type of tactics you use in politics, as well as whether you're just going to boldface lie for purely political reasons. Like, I can understand if the admin lies about the economy and lies about certain things when it comes to like numbers to bolster the psychological morale of the country. You know, that's what you do when you fucking lie about a jobs report, or you lie about the fucking, you know, the stock market or any of the other dumb shit. Is for morale. That's one of the reasons that you would lie for that. Other than just purely political, I want it to look good for me, right? And this is the same exact reason why I gave Biden such leeway. I would make fun of him, of course. Of course I'm going to make fun of you. But it's like, I understand, man. I understand. Because what you're doing is you're trying to get all the, like, you know, 85 to 90% of the normies who don't pay attention to all this bullshit all the time. You're trying to get them, you're trying to convince them that the economy's doing good and that they should invest their money instead of holding on to it. That's what you're trying to do. All the fucking time. And so if you're in political power, then what that means is that your side will lie through their teeth and bend over backwards to bolster your psychological bullshit that you're pushing out to try to make the country, stay afloat. And then the people in political opposition will basically light their asses on fire and scream about how the sky is falling to make you look bad. And that's just where we're at. That's just where we're at. There's no way around it. That's just where we're at. And I think that one of the main reasons why it keeps going on this way is because so many believe that the continued political attacks against the boat itself and keeping it afloat won't actually sink it. And I think that eventually they'll be wrong. And that's the problem, right? They can only, if they can't be wrong, and they can only be wrong once, because once it's sunk, it's done. But yeah, it's using, but essentially this is them talking about and discussing whether they are to use the same like communist political tactics that were used. Well, they're not necessarily communist, because let's be real, the conservatives back in the day, like back in Sid Vicious's day, right? This is one of the reasons you bring up Sid Vicious, right? This motherfucker wore a You see, I actually have it. This motherfucker wore a freaking Nazi shirt all the time. This is the shirt this motherfucker wore. Yeah. And so back in the day, what do you think they tried to do to him? Do you think the conservative right wing in the U.S. tried to, and in Britain and all these other places, do you think they tried to make him stop doing that? Yep. Do you think if you came out as like a homosexual, a bisexual, or any of this like trans shit back then, they wouldn't have fucking ruined your goddamn life and potentially looked the other way as they allowed monsters to abuse you? They absolutely fucking would have. They absolutely fucking would have. And that's one of the saddest parts about that kind of stuff back in the day, is that I understand the mores, I understand the reasons behind all the moral stuff, about how you shouldn't promote homosexuality, and I actually kind of agree that you shouldn't promote homosexuality in your civilization. If people are homosexual, then they should be able to be homosexual, but you shouldn't promote it as a rule. And the reason is because you want people to breed. That's basically the reason. Now, maybe that'll be different in the future when we don't necessarily, need this kind of things. But right now, we absolutely do. And one of the funny thing is that one of the reasons that the world is going to become more right-wing, including places like the United States, Britain, is not just because of the things that are going on politically now. It's because most liberals either kill their kids, or they don't have as many kids, or they don't have any kids at all. And most conservative individuals will have more kids. They won't kill their kids, and they will have more of them. And not just Christians. We're talking about, Muslims, third world Christians. A lot of the south of the border folks are all Catholic, and they all breed like rabbits because you know what? God said so. So that's why, right? just like we used to. Just like we used to. My grandmother had 7 fucking children, and that's light for my family up until her generation. I think her parents had almost 10 kids, and all of her uncles and aunts all had 10 fucking kids. Yeah, it's crazy. But that's kind of what happens when 4 or 5 of them won't live to 20, right? Which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it was. And so you have the same cancel culture bullshit. Yeah, that's right there. CRT right here. Critical race theory. Because a lot of the stupid shit going on with the woke right, as it's being called, is essentially the same. Oh, the system is against me. It's set up systematically against me. And in some cases it is, with all the fucking CRT, DEI shit. It's not necessarily that it's set up against whites and that it discriminates against them. It does. But it's set up specifically for the benefit of specific minority communities. That's what it is. And so you flip that on its head, turn it all the way around, and now you have these motherfuckers. Because what you want to go back to is the liberal standard, which is you treat everyone as equals, and if people need help, you base it on economic concerns rather than racial concerns, because you're gonna help all the poor black people more if you base it on income rather than race, because all the smart black people who want to take advantage of the system are going to be able to do that, and many of them are not going to be dirt ass poor, right? Like we've seen the stories of Indians and other ethnic minorities pretending to be black so that they can get black scholarships and places for those affirmative action programs specifically designed to get black people into universities, because it's beneficial. It absolutely is beneficial. Now, the problem is that it's the same kind of social totalitarian rot, and you just want to get rid of it. That's what you want to do. You want to get rid of it. Because it was bad when white people used to do it. It's bad when they started doing it again, but for minorities. And it's going to be bad when white people start doing it again, right? Because basically, just imagine the softest, most gentlest way of a white supremacist could design a system to keep out minorities, where it's like soft power, no hard shit, none of that stuff. You would basically design it like these motherfuckers did. That's it. Using all the flowery language. Like, this is why when I talked about that fucking film about all those Nazis discussing extermination of the Jews, it was a movie. I forget the name at the moment. But one of the individuals in it was an actual intellectual, like highly educated lawyer who wrote all the laws that were talking about and separating out Jews from their legal system, essentially. Basically defining who Jewish people were by law and what they could and could not do. Those are the motherfuckers that are really dangerous. Because those are the kinds of people who can create those systematic structures that absolutely just fuck over people. Because not only are they smart and clever, but they can use that hate that they have in a much more effective way to fuck over that population than someone who's just an idiot and a pig, right? Your normal run-of-the-mill white trash bigot is gonna call black people the N-word, right? Maybe he hates the Jews, maybe he doesn't. But the point is like, he's not gonna build an entire civilization to systematically oppress them. He's just gonna do it himself, right? Right? This is what I mean by the system looking the other way when monsters abuse you. This is what would have happened to homosexuals and ethnic minorities and stuff like this back in the past, where if they knew you were a homosexual or you were one of these minority groups and somebody was abusing you or victimizing you, you'd be less likely to receive help from the state. Many of the individuals, enforcers of the state, were racist and or homophobic or all this other bullshit themselves. And so not only might they fucking victimize you, but when you actually get victimized by actual monsters, they might just look the other way. And that's just, it's tragic. And it really is. And it's funny because I just realized where I was going with this and I have no idea how I got here. I find a string and I pull it and I just keep going. Anyway, it happens sometimes. My brain's just like, where was I going with this? So it's not as if this hasn't happened before, where you've had the right or red team or whatever you call conservative nonsense, where they systematically oppress people. Right? This was the default for a while. And so essentially what happens is that if these motherfuckers are allowed to win and they turn the CRT woke shit against everybody else, we will essentially have gone full circle and pendulum swung back to doing the same stupid bullshit that we did, 80 years ago. Just not nearly as horrible and tragic. More, because like, you're not going to be able to do that kind of shit in many places in the United States. Like, you're not going to be able to do that shit here, right? You're not going to go around like fucking with minorities in Nashville, Tennessee. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Like, you could do your protests, you can wave your flags, but if you go around and you start like actually harassing minority communities, not only will the gangs in the area totally fuck your life up, but so will almost everybody else. Like, it's like that kind of shit is just not, we don't tolerate that shit. You're not gonna get 50 dudes running around Nashville in fucking Klan hoods, burning crosses in people's yards. They get fucking shot. They'd get fucking shot. It's just not gonna happen. Maybe some places in the backwoods you might get some stupid shit like that, but even out in a lot of the more rural places, like, it's becoming, because Nashville's getting so big, people are moving further away from the city. That's just not something that we really do anymore. Because the vast majority of people know that black people are just people, that Indians are just people. We're all just people, right? And so even the motherfucking racists aren't as racist as they used to be. You know what I mean? Are they still racist? Of course they are. Do they want to systematically oppress minorities? Of course they are. But you don't really have a lot of the stupid shit anymore, because everybody just roll your eyes because like you're just an ignorant fucking white trash fuck, right? It's just like that white lady Shiloh, of course, that's her fucking name. Saying the N word to that little kid. It's just like, oh my god, dude. And she was on, and that motherfucker was on Piers Morgan, and he just went woke for like 5 minutes straight, and then tries to bait her into saying the N word on TV. It was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was peak drama. It was great, but oh, here we are, and honestly, this is the timeline we deserve.